It is a good day to draft a winning fantasy football team. We're going to go ahead, get in the pit bull. Again, if you're new to Underdog, hop in one of the $5 drafts first. If you like Superflex, they have Superflex. If you like one quarterback, they have a one quarterback. This pit bull is a 10 entry max. We've already drafted 9 teams. So this is going to be our last team that we're able to draft. And I need to go through and I need to actually enter this on my phone. For whatever reason, Safari's blocking my location. And I do want to reiterate for the 1,000th time that just in case you haven't seen, you do have to be in a certain amount of states if you want to get in an Underdog draft. Like, I don't think Underdog's in Nevada. I don't think Underdog is in Louisiana. There are a couple different states that Underdog is not in, so they have to verify your location before you get in. You can actually see the map here if Underdog is in your state or not. So if your computer is blocking a location for whatever reason, they are going to have to find a way to get it, and I have to make sure I have all blockers turned off. But we just got in through the phone, pulled it up on the computer. We are in the $20 Pitbull draft. So if anybody wants to draft with us in this tournament, this is going to be our last draft for this tournament in particular. Obviously, we'll get in some more drafts after this one in Best Ball Mania. And then hopefully Underdog drops another $3, $5 contest that we can spam over the next few weeks. But let's see what pick we're going to get. We get pick 7. Pick 7's interesting if you get a top 6 faller, but at the very worst case, we know that we're going to have an interesting player in round 2 that we can take. So I'm completely fine picking in the middle rounds. I really like just kind of letting the values fall to us. But thank you, everybody, for coming out to hang out with us in this stream, of course. I do appreciate y'all. And if you have not done so already, please make sure you go down there, hit the like button. And if you're watching this as a video later on and you want to get into future drafts with us, if you hit the bell next to the subscribe button, YouTube will actually tell you when we go live. Okay, perfect. We're up. And I think we should have some of y'all in this draft with us. Like I said, whenever we join the draft, there are 11 spots open. So let me know if you made it in. We actually have Work for What You Want, long time member of the flock since 2020 in this draft with us at pick 11. I don't think we've had a draft with you in quite some time. Z Millie, another long time member of the flock in this draft with us at 9. Philip says, did a Best Ball Mania draft earlier at pick 7 and saw a lucky guy get Saquon at pick 6. That's crazy. Mailman says, Mason, any chance at live streaming the Flock League draft this season? We're not going to live stream it. But we'll have members of the Flock League come on the live stream with us when they're all in Austin, August 13th through 18th. But we'll probably just be drafting teams on Underdog and drafting teams on flockfantasy.com when they do that. The Flock League draft specifically is going to be a video. Jahmyr Gibbs goes off the board at pick 6. I will go ahead and I will take McCaffrey again in the Flock League in your regular redraft format. Are you super excited to take McCaffrey in round 1? Probably not, because you do have a lot of downside risk. But with these Underdog best ball tournaments, I'll reiterate for the 1,000th time, I'm fine taking on the risk so we can get the upside. Like, if you look at this, how these best ball tournaments work is it's a $20 buy-in, $500,000 first place prize, 100K to first, 50K for second, all the way down the line. If you want to know how that works, is you are going to be put into a fantasy football playoff tournament if you are one of the top 2 highest scoring teams in your regular season, weeks 1 through 14, and your 12-team draft. And week 15, you'll go up against 5 other people. If you are able to be the highest scoring team in week 15, you'll advance to week 16. We'll go up against 4 other people. For the highest scoring team there, you'll advance to week 17, and you'll play 155 other people. And that's how you have $20 turned into $100,000, $20 turned into $50,000 for second, $25,000 for third, $17,000 for fourth. And in a top-heavy contest like that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just swing for the fences. I think McCaffrey does give us a crazy high ceiling. Super interesting to see Henry ahead of Genty, Ladd McConkey off the board as well. So I'm underweight Ashton Genty in general. Because we have been expecting that he's probably a faller as we get closer to the start of the season in ADP. And it looks like this is the furthest I've seen him fall in quite some time. So we may end up walking away with a decent amount of Ashton Ginty. If he turns into a second round pick going into the future, I'll take a ton of them. And yeah, we're going to get AJ Brown here at 18. I actually won 100K in an underdog tournament a couple years back, which you've heard me say 1,000 times, but I actually won that by drafting McCaffrey and AJ Brown together. So we're running it back with the same squad. But congrats to Z Millie of getting Malik Neighbors and Ashton Ginty on the same squad. Absolutely beautiful. Barkley apparently went at the 109 in a high stakes $350 draft Henry saw last night. Khan says, any updates on the 12th member of the Flock League, Jinxie? I reached out to Jinxie. Sadly, I don't know if we're going to be able to get him. I would love it more than anything in the world, but he did not get back to me. So it is what it is. But let's see. Trey McBride goes at 24. So you don't typically see both tight ends going in round 2 anymore. I mean, this is where Trey McBride used to go, but it seems like more and more drafts, McBride has been falling to the beginning of the 3rd round. So it is interesting to see him go in the late 2nd here for this one. Okay. Now, of course, if you wanted to join a draft with us, we are drafting on Underdog every single day. You can always find a link to draft with us in the description, comment section, live chat. It's just always the draft with us here link. If you use promo code FLOCK, you also get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Plus, you'll get all my 2025 fantasy football rankings and draft guide cheat sheets. And on top of that, you will be able to get into underdog drafts in almost every state. You can see the map here if you wanted to hop in an underdog draft with us. But let's move this down. Garrett Wilson off the board at 29. Chase Brown goes 30. I'm personally going to take, honestly, F it. I'm going to go Josh Allen at 31. I'm going to try to mix in more elite quarterback builds. We'll practice here, see what this looks like. Maybe as we get closer to the start of the season, these quarterback ADPs change, but it's been very difficult for me in drafts as of late where I have been getting boxed out of the quarterback position. And I frankly don't want to have to deal with that right now. So I think taking Josh Allen here at 31 almost just guarantees us we're going to have enough points at QB. Matthew says, I was trying to keep all my best ball teams consolidated at BBM this year. Thanks a lot, Mason. Well, are you in this with us? Let me see. Yeah, we got Matthew in here with us at pick 12. Happy that you're able to get in, though, my guy. Yetsky says, would you ever do a Bowers and McBride team? No, I'd never do a Bowers and McBride team. I would do like a McBride in round 3, Kittle in round 5 team before I would do a tight end in round 2 and tight end in round 3 team. Philip says, any new word on the Flock meetup? No word yet. I will write down on a little to-do list to get me my lazy butt start reaching out to venues. I messaged the people where we had the meetup at last year. Have not heard back from them. But no matter what, even if I have to pay a bunch of money to get us a venue for a meetup this year, I promise you we'll have a meetup in Austin, Texas, August 17th with everybody from the Flock League there as well. Okay. Now we have Daniels going 34, Lamar going 37. My hesitation with taking Josh Allen at 31 is what happens if Jalen Hurts makes it to us at 55? If Jalen Hurts makes it to us at 55, I'm going to feel very, very bad about our decision to take Josh Allen where we did. Terry McLaurin makes it down to 38 in this draft, which is very interesting. Breece Hall makes it down to 40. Let's move this over. Only one wide receiver through the first 3 rounds. We're definitely going to hammer in a wide receiver here. General says he had a McCarthy and A.J. Brown Hurts stack in the same draft last night. So Jefferson, McCarthy, and A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts. That sounds great. DK Metcalf off the board. I'm going to go ahead and take Xavier Worthy. For me, I personally prefer Worthy over DJ Moore. I think both wide receivers have a considerable amount of competition in their offenses. With DJ Moore, you have Roman Dunze, you have Luther Burden, you have Loveland. With Worthy, you have Rashee Rice as well as Travis Kelce. I understand that the passing volume in Kansas City over the past 2 years hasn't been great. Let's pull this up in comparison to what we had from these receivers over the past. Let's just look at what we had last season from DJ Moore versus Xavier Worthy. Last year, you got 11 points per game from Worthy, 14 points per game from DJ Moore. Again, you have the younger ascending wide receiver with Worthy going into year 2, round 1 NFL draft capital. I personally know that Patrick Mahomes has the upside to get to 5,000 passing yards and 40 plus passing touchdowns. Is that the most likely outcome? Probably not. I mean, but we can go through and we can look at what Mahomes did for a stretch of games where he had competent weapons before he was having to use Juju Smith-Schuster as one of his top targets. So we can look at two different things for Mahomes, right? We can look at his 2023 and 2024 years, where there, Patrick Mahomes, super disappointing, 253 passing yards per game, only 1.72 passing touchdowns as well. But if we wanted to look at the 3 years before that, you can actually see that Mahomes, in that 3-year stretch, 300 passing yards per game, 2.5 passing touchdowns per game. Hell, we can even throw in 2019, 2018. Look at a 5-year sample where Mahomes for 5 seasons went through, averaged 23.5 fantasy points per game and over 300 passing yards per game as well for 5 years straight. So over the past 2 years, it's been more of a run the ball, play good defense type of team, lower volume passing attack in general. But I don't know. I think you could see Mahomes get back to a high volume passer now that you have Hollywood healthy, Worthy in year 2, and Rashee Rice healthy as well. Okay. Tim says, Mason, new to the flock and Underdog, what's the difference coming from a normal redraft league? So the main difference in best ball drafts in comparison to your normal redraft format is going to be that you are, here real quick, let's see what this team does. This team is an interesting spot. They go Rome Odunze. Travis Hunter, we had more news coming out that he's really going to be playing on the defensive side of the ball this year. At least that's what people are saying at the moment, which, again, super low floor with a pick like this. I probably wouldn't take Travis Hunter in round 5 of the flock league in a normal redraft league, but in these best ball contests where you are really just shooting for the absolute highest ceiling you can get, I think you do have a very high ceiling with Hunter, and we still very much need another wide receiver. But a big difference between best ball and redraft is there's no moves you're making during the season, right? I'm going to draft this team and then I have no access to the waiver wire. I can't make a trade. I'm not even submitting my starting lineup. This starting lineup's going to be submitted for us at the end of every single week. So with that in mind, you really need to concern yourself with your roster construction. In your regular redraft league, you can go very thin at wide receiver. You maybe only draft 4 wide receivers in a league where you start 2 receivers, 1 flex, hammer running backs through your bench, make waiver wire moves if you need to during the season. You're not able to in an underdog draft. So you need to be drafting 2 to 3 quarterbacks, 4 to 7 running backs, 2 to 3 tight ends, and there as many wide receivers as you can get. Okay. And yes, I don't know if y'all saw, but Underdog had a promo that if you do 4 drafts in the sprint, marathon, weekly winners, and eliminator by July 4th, you get a $50 bonus. I saw them tweet this out. I know a lot of people are talking about it, but, and yeah, somebody tweeted out the math of this. It's a total of $220 of entries and you get a $50 bonus. So if you're a high volume Underdog drafter, that probably does interest you. If you're only going to draft a couple teams on Underdog, obviously, probably not your top priority. So Jawan Jennings off the board at pick 64. Burrow's not going to be in play for me. I don't have Higgins. I don't have Jamar Chase. Hell, I don't even have Chase Brown, right? Wolf Chop Pineapple. Yes, sir, I did shave. Sadly, we are no beard anymore. The beard's gone. Jacoby Myers off. So wide receivers are flying. Now, there are going to be some wide receivers that we can target in the coming rounds. So I'm actually going to go ahead and take Trevion Henderson. I personally have Henderson over RJ Harvey in my own rankings. Now, with that in mind, I think if you wanted to go through and if you wanted to take RJ Harvey and say, oh, well, I'll have a week 17 bring back with Xavier Worthy, I'm not going to fault you at all. And honestly, if it was Best Ball Mania, where the week 17 pool's a little bit larger, and also the tournament's been open all offseason where there were a lot of teams taking RJ Harvey at the beginning of the 5th round, I probably would take RJ Harvey here over Trevion Henderson. But this is a newer contest where this tournament dropped after you had the J.K. Dobbins Denver news. So RJ Harvey's kind of been a late 5th, 6th round pick all along. So I'm just going to get the player that I prefer straight up. And the player I prefer straight up is Trevion Henderson. Okay, let's move this over. Cash Ward says, Mason, I heard you were the GOAT at Clash Royale. All right, so here's the situation in Clash Royale to keep you all updated. I had to cut myself off. I am deleting Clash Royale from my phone. It's already done. And I only am going to re-download it when I'm on the stationary bike. If I'm on which I did today. I got the bike back from the shop, threw it on the trainer, biked for an hour, went for 20 miles, and I played Clash Royale the entire time. And it made the time fly by. So I will re-download the app whenever I'm on a Stairmaster, whenever I'm on the stationary bike, and I need an hour to fly. But whenever I'm sitting at my desk, I can't have the game on my app because I will literally get no work done and I will just be playing Clash Royale. It's a problem. It's bad. Aries says, bro's treating Clash like crack. I mean, for me, it pretty much is. Khalil Shakir going at 76 is brutal for us. Shakir was obviously our target, having Josh Allen here. A big reason why we decided to go ahead and look to take the running back in the previous round is because we were setting ourselves up with the target of Shakir on the way back. So here we're going to take Matthew Golden instead. Matthew Golden does open us up to the possibility of being able to get Jordan Love. And overall, as we look at this team, one thing that will be interesting to point out, and it's probably going to dictate how we are drafting over the coming rounds, is our rounds 5, 6, and 7 pick are now all rookies. Now, I personally think they're high upside rookies, but we're probably good on our upside for the final 3 weeks in weeks 15, 16, 17. So what we're probably going to have to do now is with our upcoming picks, guys like Brandon Ayuk, not interesting. We need to actually hammer in some players that can give us production at the beginning of the season as well. So we'll see what happens here, but I think we're more likely than not going to need to take some boring vets, to be honest. Okay. Freakin says just remove it from the home screen. My brain knows how to get to it quickly. If it's removed from the home screen, I'll open it up right away. So let's move this over. Baker Mayfield off the board to pick 86. Brian Robinson goes 87. Like, for example, here, we took rookies with our last 3 picks. If I'm breaking ties, I'd probably take Michael Pittman Jr. over Egbuka if we ended up going with the receiver. Egbuka goes off the board here at 88 anyway, so it looks like we're not going in that direction. But 2 other players that we could grab here, they do give us early season production with both Isaiah Pacheco as well as Aaron Jones. I think you can kind of go in either way. We're going to take Aaron Jones. Pacheco just went. Again, maybe you're worried about Aaron Jones, the older veteran running back drafted in 2017, losing steam down the stretch. Well, if we're pairing him up with a player like Trevion Henderson, that may not be the end of the world, because with Henderson, I think the issue is the Ramadre usage at the beginning of the season, but I do have a lot of confidence that Trevion Henderson could be an RB1 by the time we get to the end of the year. So, well, we'll take Aaron Jones. I think it'll be a natural setup for our running back production. And now at running back, we have McCaffrey, Henderson, Aaron Jones. Wide receiver, we have A.J. Brown, Xavier Worthy, Travis Hunter, Matthew Golden, and we have the elite quarterback with Josh Allen. We were hoping to get Khalil Shakir in round 7. That didn't happen. Shakir went at 76. So we are going to have to pivot our targets probably to somebody like Dalton Kincaid, to be honest with you. Okay. Michael asking if we're doing another draft after this one. Yeah, we're going to do a bunch of drafts after this. I mean, we'll for sure do another one. Next one will probably be a Best Ball Mania. And if you want us to get in a third, go down there and hit that like button. If we hit 250 likes on this stream, we will fire up a third draft. Okay. No Name says Barkley and Henry to start. Have you seen that yet? I have not seen a Barkley Henry start. At least I don't think so. If you have Barkley and Henry together on the same squad, that is a great team. Okay. Jalen Warren off the board to pick 98. Let's move this over. Fields goes 99. Travis Kelce off at 100. Caleb goes 101. We passed on DJ Moore, so Caleb wasn't going to be in play for us, really. Interesting that this team doesn't have DJ Moore. They don't have Rome. Keon Coleman goes pick 102 for this team's 6th receiver. So now at this point, like, we need to pivot, of course. Andrews, Ingram aren't super appealing for me. What we may end up doing is we may make a boring selection of Travis Etienne as our 4th running back. The clear target obviously was Keon, but this team decided to take Keon as their number 6 wide receiver off the board. So it is what it is. We'll just pivot over to Travis Hunter and hope that we get some projectable volume in Jacksonville. But obviously, it's not a super safe projection with how bad Travis Etienne was last year. But we also took Travis Hunter, right? So having Travis Etienne and Travis Hunter on the same squad, this could set us up for a nice bet on Trevor Lawrence later. And we can make the one consolidated bet of what if the Jacksonville Jaguars offense is better than people are expecting. Okay. Let's see. Wolf Champ says, have you done any eliminators or marathons lately? I've done some slow eliminators and slow marathons. To be honest with you, I entered into too many slow drafts like a week or two, probably 2 or 3 weeks ago at this point. And it's just been miserable. Every single night I wake up, I have to make 20 picks. So I am probably going to take a break from the slow drafts. I'll probably enter into 4 weekly winners, 4 marathons, 4 eliminators, 4 sprints, whatever the hell the Underdog promo is. That way I just get the free $50 back. But let's move this over. I don't want to say too much on the clock. Bo Nix goes 112. Nice for us to see Bo Nix go, because if Bo Nix would have lasted here to 114, I would have felt bad about passing on Evan Ingram. Drake May off the board as well. We're going to take Rashad Bateman. Bateman's not going to be the best pick here. A big reason why the Bateman ADP lines up where it is just simply you do have the Lamar Jackson team taking him a bunch. But we really need a wide receiver. If we're going to compare Bateman to Luther Burden, I'm completely fine if you want to take Burden ahead of him. The main thing is we are already sitting with Travis Hunter, Trevion Henderson, Matthew Golden. I don't necessarily know if we want to go with our 4th rookie within the first 10 rounds. Lee says, where do we find the promo offer? Does everyone have it? Let me just see if I can pull up Underdog's Twitter here. Would it be on Underdog NFL? No, it'd be like on Underdog Drafts, right? I don't think you like have to like click anything on Underdog. I think you just enter into the drafts. Let me just go to Underdog's Twitter. Will this show us? Spin the wheel. Okay, here it is. Underdog Drafts. Okay. It is enter 4 teams, 16 total into the sprint, marathon, eliminator, and weekly winners by 11:59 p.m. EST, July 4th to receive $50 in bonus cash. Both fast and slow drafts are eligible for this promo. Limit 1 reward per user. So you don't need to like have anything on your app telling you that you can do it. You can just do it yourself. So I'll probably do 4 slow drafts of each. That way I can just get the free $50. But again, I'm a high volume Underdog drafter. I'm sponsored by Underdog. If you're not going to draft hundreds of teams this year, it's probably not the thing for you. If you're only going to draft 5 teams, I would just stick with the 5 tournaments that you like the best. Okay. We have Javonte going 121, Kyle Williams 122. Cam Scatterbo has been a big time follower here. Scatterbo goes 118 in comparison to Trevion Henderson 104. Let's move this over. Trey Benson going early here. Trey Benson 123. ADP 139. Now I have a ton of Trey Benson, but let's see what these other teams decide to do. J.K. Dobbins off 124. Loveland goes 125. I believe that's the team that took Caleb. So we're going to have an interesting thing to look at. Yeah, I'm a simple man. Tyler Warren's my favorite pick in this round. Tyler Warren falls 5 picks past ADP. I am not going to overthink it. I am just going to take Tyler Warren. This could be a mistake. We could end up getting boxed out at quarterback, but I think we give ourselves the luxury when we decided to take Josh Allen to round 3, where my biggest fear in this draft does not need to be getting boxed out of QB. But here, running back, we have CMC, Trevion Henderson, Aaron Jones, Travis Etienne. Wide receiver, we have A.J. Brown, Xavier Worthy, Travis Hunter, Matthew Golden, Rashad Bateman. Quarterback, we have Josh Allen. Tight end, we have Tyler Bourne. So overall, I like the team. Okay. Philip, I know you've been a long time member of the flock. Happy to have you, my friend. Happy to have you. Let's see. Demonic Celery says, Sal's calling me a psycho. Well, you're a psycho for being able to watch 2 streams at the same time. And 2, Sal may have hit the nail on the whatever it is, the head of the nail with the hammer, whatever it's called. And yes, I think we are pretty psychotic about our underdog drafts. Let's move this down. King Group says, Mason, you should grow your hair out until you win Best Ball Mania. If I had a better hairline, I for sure would. The big Q goes off the board at 135. I think that we have a shot to do something. Never mind, Jordan Love gone. Love goes, Lawrence goes. So now we are sitting with no quarterback options left. Stroud, we could go Jalen Noel late. We can go Dalton Schultz late. Dallas Goedert goes. Byshell Tootin. We can monopolize the Jacksonville touches. If Bigsby's nothing, we could go McCarthy and say we just have the check down equity with Aaron Jones. We're going to take Byshell Tootin. I know that we... Oh, no. Go. Oh, thank God. Oh, okay. Oh, that was a close one. That was a close one. Oh, dear God. We go ahead and we get Dalton Kincaid. Oh, that was the clear pick that we needed to make to pair up with Josh Allen. I was more so focusing on our next quarterback that we needed to be able to think clearly. So yes, we needed the Kincaid pick. We needed it. Joey, also another long-time member of the flock. Always happy to see you, my friend. And thank you for being a YouTube member. And Philip says, holy, just realized I didn't update my flock membership to my new card. I'm back. What it probably actually was, to be honest with you, is the YouTube membership used to be like $8 a month, and now we moved it to $2.99. So all the, what's it called? All the like previous members, I deleted that tier. So you weren't charged $8 a month anymore. So unless like you actively went out to re-up on it and like resubscribe, I think it just cut you off, but obviously you just did. So I appreciate you, my friend. Okay. Eden says, how'd you do in last year with all your drafts in the positive? So we had great success. If you look at all our advance rate stuff, like I'll pull up this tweet because I know we reference this all the time. Like advanced 41 teams in the sprint, had a much higher advance rate in the high stakes stuff than what the math expectation would be. However, since we did like a couple $1,000 drafts, obviously we did the $500 drafts as well. Net, we did end up losing a bunch of money. However, in terms of process wise, advanced a bunch of teams, had a team get to the BBM finals. The team got to the BBM finals, was very good. Had Nico, Flowers, Lamar, Isaiah Likely all in the same game. And CJ Stroud shot the bed. So we put ourselves in a position where we could have won millions of dollars. And that's all that's all I want to see personally, is us to have that chance to feel good about our season. So above average advance rates, team in the finals. Our team in the finals didn't do anything. So when that's the case in these tournament style contests, we ended up losing a little bit of money. But overall, I actually think if you look at the numbers behind it, we had a very good season. We just needed to get lucky in week 17 to win millions. We did not get lucky, so we lost a little. Zach says, I don't see the free 50 for 4 of doing each on my app. I don't think you'll see it on your app. I think it'll just automatically be applied to your account on July 4th. If you wanted to double check, reach out to Underdog Support. Obviously, I'm not Underdog Support, but here's my assumption, and somebody in the chat that maybe knows more than I do, let me know. My assumption would be you enter 4 into those 4 different tournaments, and then on July 5th or whatever, the day after the promo, they probably have a script to run and see everybody that entered 4 drafts into those tournaments within that window. and to credit the $50 on your account. Like you don't have to like hit like a little promo token or whatever to do it. Demonic Celery says it pays on the 7th. Okay, that's good to know. Wolf Chomp Pineapple says, liking the streams give you a better odds at winning Best Ball Mania. That is true. That is statistically true. So after we take Rachaad White in the last round, which I just personally really like Rachaad White there, we are done drafting running back. Our running back room, CMC, Trevian Henderson, Aaron Jones, Travis Etienne, Rachaad White. So it's going to be a team where we have to draft a bunch of receivers. Our wide receiver room's not great. We have A.J. Brown, Xavier Worthy, Travis Hunter, Matthew Golden, Rashad Bateman. And we need to take 3 QBs as well. So Joshua Palmer, not my favorite pick by any stretch of the imagination, but we took Josh Allen, right? So our bet is that the Buffalo Bills passing volume, Josh Allen's rushing touchdowns look great. Joshua Palmer falls around past ADP. So even if I don't like Joshua Palmer, if I'm going to draft hundreds of teams and I need to figure out where I need to mix him in, it's probably on teams where I need a wide receiver. And at the same time, I have Josh Allen and he falls well past ADP. It's probably when we need to. Lee says, do old entries for those contests count, or do you have to do a whole new 4 of each? I would assume that you have to do a whole 4 new of each. Again, reach out to Underdog Support if you have any. I'll pull up the tweet one more time. That'll help you. But I would assume it's from the time that they announced it to the cutoff. I would assume that if you did 4 a while ago, they're not going to count that, but I could be wrong. So again, if you want to triple check, you can reach out to Underdog Support. Which nothing changes with the positions we're looking at here with this next pick. We're still quarterback, wide receiver, tight end. Okay. Mailman says, how do you join a draft? Just hit that link. Are you already on Underdog? Let me know if you're already on Underdog or if you're not, because join a draft. All our drafts are on Underdog Fantasy, so you'll need to be there. Sam Darnold goes 172. I don't want to say much until we're on the clock again. Rico Dowdle off. Good for us. We weren't drafting another. Gino goes. We're going to take Rodgers. We need a second quarterback. Gino going pretty much boxes us out of all the guaranteed starters. Daniel Jones maybe starts half the year. Anthony Richardson maybe starts half the year. We have Josh Allen. We already have a crazy high weekly ceiling at quarterback. Allen could just be the number 1 overall scoring quarterback in weeks 15 through 17. I definitely want a second quarterback, though, to significantly help our advance rates. So we can go Rodgers, and at the same time with Rodgers, we can actually look at some of those wide receivers later in this draft, right? Or maybe we can even mix in like around 18 Pat Freiermuth. Yes, I did see Danny fighting the spider in his live stream earlier. Okay. Let's move this down. Mark Word says, holy 256,000 subs, y'all. Road to 1 million subs. Let's go. I don't know. Here's my guess on like the most subs we'll ever get on YouTube. If I start posting more shorts and stuff, you can get subscribers, but in reality, those subscribers don't really matter. Like they don't watch streams or anything. And so if I was just optimizing to try to have like the highest sub count possible, you would just spam shorts. But again, that would actually probably hurt you more than help you. So here, let me move this around. We are just wide receiver, tight end through the rest of this draft. And we're going to take 1 more tight end. And we're going to take 2 more receivers. Gesicki goes. I'm probably not interested in taking. I don't know. I'm probably not that interested in taking Pat Freiermuth here. If we get Freiermuth around 17 or 18, we can go with it. The thing with Rodgers specifically is, one, I don't really care to have him stacked up. I don't think it's the most important thing in the world. We're planning on using the Josh Allen scores in weeks 15 through 17 anyway. We do have some strong correlating pieces with Josh Allen. The second thing is, even if Pat Freiermuth does go, like, is it the worst thing in the world? We could just go Roman Wilson. We can just go Calvin Austin. So it doesn't matter much. Okay. But yeah, so I know we got derailed, but I don't know if we'll ever get more, like, obviously we'll get more subscribers than we have now, but I don't think it will ever be like something that's dramatically different. Like if I had to guess our subscriber count at the end of this football season, I would guess like 285, 290, 300 if we're lucky and we crush. But yeah, the realistically, like where the growth is going to come on our end is the massive updates we're pushing out to flockfantasy.com. I think we'll have like 10x the people on flockfantasy.com by the end of the year that we do now. But YouTube subscribers, I don't know if that'll be a big thing, like a big thing that will change. GG Leader says, are there going to be flock contests on Underdog again this year? Yes, I'll reach out to them. I will text Underdog. I promise you by August, we'll have flock contest. I promise you. And we're going to take Calvin Austin here. We have Aaron Rodgers, right? So the Calvin Austin pick's going to be an easy one. And again, we did have Pat Frymuth going off the board here to prod at 192, which it's just such a tough pick to select Frymuth now that they have Jonnu for me. That, like, realistically is the only tight end 2 that's getting drafted in every draft. It's Isaiah Likely next to Mark Andrews. Let me know. Dylan says, how much growth will he have on the site? I'm curious. Plans for the flock site. Can you reveal anything? So tool-wise, obviously, we just had the player comparison tool drop that I think is really cool, where you can go through and you can actually look at different players for different time periods, right? So if you wanted to compare like Nico Collins to Brian Thomas. So we had this player comparison tool drop. We're about to have a range of outcomes tool drop that's been in development for a while. The My Teams page is going to get much, much better, which will be exciting. I don't know. We have the mock draft stuff that's about to get pushed out for 2025 drafts that I think people will absolutely love that. So, yeah, I would assume to guess. And then we have, if things go right, next offseason, we're going to have crazy Underdog tools. But obviously all that's in the future. I'm not guaranteeing anything right now. I think we go Terrence. No. Terrence Ferguson's my favorite tight end here. Hesitation I have is we have Tyler Warren, so we already have the long-term upside at tight end. So let's make a boring pick. Let's take Jawan Johnson. And here's a squad. We're going to hop in another draft. We're going to get in a BBM draft after this one. But quarterback, we have Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers. Running back, we have CMC, Trevion Henderson, Aaron Jones, Travis Etienne, Rashad White. Tight end, we have Tyler Warren, Dalton Kincaid, and Jawan Johnson. Wide receiver, A.J. Brown, Xavier Worthy, Travis Hunter, Matthew Golden, Bateman, Palmer, Dimey Brown, and Calvin Austin. So overall, I actually like the team. And one thing that I think I'm going to try to start doing, and maybe it's bad, we'll see together, is I think I may start going through and taking more of the elite quarterbacks in round 3. But let me hop into Best Ball Mania. I am in now, if anybody wanted to join. And let me move this over. Okay, it is full. Sorry, for whatever reason, Safari's not sharing my location with Underdog, so I'm not really bothering trying to enter on the computer. I'm just entering on my phone and pulling it up on the computer. And where are we picking? Okay, we're picking at 8. So very common start we'll have here is the exact one we had in the last draft, like CMC and AJ Brown. So I think you could almost see the same draft here at 8 that we had the last one, at least in the early rounds. And obviously in the middle rounds is where we maybe mix it up. But Alcoholic Saints fan, I know you love the Jawan Johnson pick. But we got Tex in this draft with us at 7. We got Conch in this draft with us at 6. We have Vinny in here with us at 11. We have Kale in this draft with us at 4. It always sucks having a draft next to Vinny and Kale, but at least they're not too close to us. Anthony in this draft with us at 2. Dennis in this draft with us at 9. Mason on roids in this draft with us at 8. And Deruve says Ginty at that 108 if you're lucky. I mean, Ginty in the last draft went at what, like pick 16? So we'll see. Balls Life to smash the like so we can play Clash up. Clash is deleted off my phone for the rest of the day. If I get on the stationary bike tomorrow, I'll re-download it. We'll get Clash going again. But for the time being, no Clash. But do hit that like button if you want us to hop into a third draft. If we had 250 likes, we'll get a third draft going. And typically, we're taking McCaffrey at pick 7 and 8, but McCaffrey does indeed end up going at pick 6 in this one. So instead, we'll just go ahead. We will take Puka Nacua. I know some people have argued that you shouldn't take Puka over these guys like Nico Collins. I'm going to keep it stupid simple. You look at these wide receivers from this past year. Puka Nacua, insane yards per route run. You can say that we have the same thing with Nico Collins. Obviously, Brian Thomas as a rookie. But Puka Nacua, 9 yards per target, 90 receiving yards per game, 7.18 receptions per game, a 32% team target share, 9 targets, 18.5 fantasy points. Like Puka Nacua, in an year that he gets injured, from a per game perspective, trumps Nico Collins, Brian Thomas, and almost every relevant fantasy statistic. And yes, you have Devontae Adams coming in, but you also have no... What do we do? I think we're just going to have a very boring thing that y'all probably get upset with, but I think we probably go AJ Brown. But also you have no Cooper Kupp, right? And if we go ahead and we look at Kupp versus Devontae Adams, I know a lot of people are thinking that there's going to be a dramatic difference between the two, and people are acting like Kupp has been complete dust over the past 2 years. And yeah, he's gotten injured over the past 2 years. But if we look at Cooper Kupp over the past 2 seasons, he's had a 25% team target share. He's had over 2 yards per route run. Like he's averaged 14.1 fantasy points per game. Like looking at Kupp over the past 2 years versus Devontae Adams over the past 2 years. Like Kupp 2.05 yards per route run, Devontae Adams 2.02. Now Adams obviously much higher target share, but he didn't have to go up against Puka. And Adams at the same time, an older receiver than Kupp, drafted in 2014, Kupp drafted in 2017. So while 100%, I'd rather have Devontae Adams over Cooper Kupp this year. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is I don't think Devontae Adams coming in means I can't draft Puka Nacua at pick 8. Okay. But let's move this over. FaZe says, bro, Lad. Lad's been falling in some of these drafts. Like I actually got Lad at a decent little value in a slow draft today, I want to say. Okay. Shivy says Mason's going to be on the bike 10 hours a day to play Clash. That's the goal. If I restrict myself to only playing Clash on the bike, I'll be on the bike more often, which will be a good thing. Sara says Brown over Lad's crazy. You want to see how good AJ Brown is? Let me go ahead and pull this up for you. Terry McLaurin goes 31. Devontae Adams is in play here. We could pair him up with Puka Nacua. I know a lot of people would like that. I'm going to reach on the elite quarterback. I'm going to take Lamar. But looking at A.J. Brown versus Ladd McConkey last year, I mean, we can even expand and look at a larger sample for A.J. Brown, right? Because his situations remain consistent in Philadelphia over the past 3 years. So we have a 3-year sample for A.J. Brown where he's averaged 2.85 yards per route run, where he's had a 31% team target share over the past 3 seasons. 3 years of averaging over 17 fantasy points per game. Like, obviously, Ladd McConkey, a rookie, Ladd McConkey is going to continue to get better. One thing you can do as well is just look at Ladd McConkey's weeks, say 9 through 18, the second half of the season for that rookie breakout. And in that second half of the year, he does get a lot closer to A.J. Brown at 16.6 fantasy points per game. But with the absolute dominant sample that we have from Brown, I'm completely fine taking A.J. Brown ahead of Ladd McConkey. Okay. Spicy Hot Tacos is why didn't you start CMC? Henry, yeah. The FSE guys started a draft like Spicy Hot. I've told Bush this, and I'm going to let you know as well. Obviously, Bush is doing a hard pivot to old, dusty running backs this year because that's what won last year. I think he's chasing what won last year. I think he's going to get crushed from it. Like, you need to talk some sense into your guy. Here, we're probably going to do the same thing we did in round 4 of the last draft. I think we take Xavier Worthy. We could go ahead and take Devonta Smith. Devonta Smith is my most drafted round 4 wide receiver at this point. But a big thing that I want to do when I'm taking Smith on teams in round 4 is I want to be setting ourselves up with Jalen Hurts in round 5. And I think that no matter what we do, it doesn't matter if we have A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith on the same squad. Based off the way that drafts have been trending, I would be surprised if we were able to get Jalen Hurts on the way back around at pick 56. It's almost not possible. I mean, it's possible, of course, but Spicy Hot says you just click the button. You got a voice of God. It has to come in, talk some sense into him. And yeah, Jalen Hurts gets pushed up here to 44, right? So the scenario in which I'm going to continue to hammer Devonta Smith, and Devonta Smith, like I said, is my most drafted round 4 receiver. I think he's probably my most drafted round 4 player as well. It's not like I've taken a ton of James Cook. I want to be taking Devonta Smith here at the end of the 4th or in the middle of the 4th if I think I can set myself up with Jalen Hurts in the 5th. So we'll just take Lamar Jackson, Xavier Worthy, be a little bit boring about it. Okay. Jimmy D says, I like round 4 Xavier Worthy, but then every time I take him, I hate my team. The one thing that you can also make an argument, like maybe we shouldn't be taking Xavier Worthy here at 41, is a big reason I like round 4 Xavier Worthy is to set ourselves up with Patrick Mahomes a little later. And Kale is crushing this draft. Kale has Jefferson, Higgins, Garrett Wilson, Devonta Smith, James Cook. Crazy start for Kale at 4. Like, I definitely prefer Kale's team versus ours. But let's move this over. And a big reason why we pass on James Cook is I think you can make an argument for Kenneth Walker, James Cook being very close. Whereas if you're looking at Xavier Worthy versus the wide receivers like Rome Odunze, I don't think that's close personally. But you can make an argument, Mason, you shouldn't be taking Worthy in the 4th if you took an elite quarterback in the 3rd, because you're probably not going to take Patrick Mahomes in the 8th when you do that. So maybe instead, this is the kind of build where we should just take DK Metcalf instead, right? A wide receiver at the quarterback that's going extremely late where we don't particularly care. Okay. LC says he's surprised that Waddle hasn't climbed up a tier. Where does Waddle go in this one? Yeah, Waddle goes at 53. My guess would be Waddle probably ends up with like a late 4th ADP. But it's just going to take a little bit of time for him to climb. Okay. Connor says, playing fantasy for the first time. Any tips? Well, you're in the right place, my friend. And I would say the big thing is just try to soak up as much information as you can over the next 2 months before your draft. Okay. Chris Olave goes 61. Joe Mixon goes 62. Ross Grad. Playing fantasy for the first time, enter a big dog draft with us. You'll really learn. At this point, I think we can go ahead. I think we can take RJ Harvey. I know some people are very interested in going with Jawan Jennings here. And especially as we get more negative news surrounding the Brandon Ayuk injury, I'm not going to be as critical of the round 6 Jawan Jennings selection as I previously was. But here we have Puka Nacua, AJ Brown, Xavier Worthy at receiver, right? So I don't necessarily think wide receiver is going to be our top priority. Okay. LC says, best tip is to not draft BBMs when Mason is. You'll match into murderer's row. Legitimate, like if I was going to be honest with y'all, I think y'all probably would be better off not doing drafts with us on the live stream. Like, obviously, if you're going to have fun doing it, hop into drafts with us on the stream. But if you are hunting softer lobbies, and I'm not just saying this of like, oh, the people who watch me are the smartest people ever, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm not saying that at all. I think y'all are probably one of the dumber people, set of groups out there. Obviously a joke, just trying to be funny. But realistically, like any streamer, I'm probably not hopping into their draft if I'm trying to get the softest lobby possible. Because if you're hopping into a draft with a live streamer, even if you think that live streamer's dumb, you're probably going to go up against a bunch of other people that at least watch videos and have a general understanding of strategy. Where if you're looking at like some random drafts that you could just get in at 10 p.m., you may walk into a draft with 2 or 3 people who are completely lost, who are completely clueless. So that may actually be the move. Okay. But CRL says, what website is the data on? So this data here is flockfantasy.com. You can just type in flockfantasy.com. This is the player comparison tool, completely free if you ever want to look at it. Okay. Caleb Johnson goes 77. Kale, I have no idea why you took Montgomery over Joe Burrow. I loved your team through the first 5 rounds. But for me, you go T. Higgins in round 2. Joe Burrow at pick 69 is a super easy selection. I think we can take our third running back here. I think we go Swift. Projectable volume, we should have a wide receiver that makes it back around to us in the 8th. Wide receiver, we already have Puka, A.J. Brown, Xavier Worthy holding down the fort. Brian says, where you pull in advanced rate statistics from. So if you're looking at like the advanced stuff, like yards per route run, target share, blah, 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 we have to pay, honestly, a ton of money to a sports data provider. And they give us all the data. We have like access to pretty much every single statistic you could ever imagine. And then like another thing is with that player comparison tool, make sure you go through, and if you wanted to look at different stats, just hit compare by and you can add whatever you want. But they give us all the data and we make whatever tools that we want from them. So the range of outcomes tool that we're about to put out on the site's crazy, crazy good. Can't guarantee that every tool we ever put out is going to be free, but the range of outcomes tool is free at least. We're going to go Matthew Golden. This is actually a very interesting fall that we get Golden at 89. We need a receiver. This does set us up in a range where we could possibly be going with Jordan Love a little later on. So I actually really like this squad. Running back, we have Kenneth Walker, RJ Harvey, DeAndre Swift. So we have some projectable volume. We have a rookie with upside. Wide receiver, we have more than enough production. We have Puka Nacua, A.J. Brown, Xavier Worthy, Matthew Golden. We have the elite quarterback with Lamar as well. So actually really like it. And also, yes, if y'all wanted to get in another draft, if we hit 250, we'll fire up the third one. Which, according to Mason on roids, we need 50 more. I personally have no idea how many more we need, but just make sure you hit that like button. So we have a well-balanced team. Like, y'all know usually I'm halfway through a draft absolutely crying, going, oh my gosh, this is what I need. If I don't get this, my team's done and dusted. My team's absolute garbage. I need this position. In reality, we get a quarterback fall and we like, I'm fine taking a quarterback in round 9. We get a wide receiver fallen we like, I'm fine taking a wide receiver in round 9. We get a tight end fallen that we like, I'm fine taking a tight end in round 9. Now, if I don't get the big Q, however, that will be a different story. Drew says we need a 24-hour stream. I can't even begin to think about what I would need to do another 24-hour stream. The issue is not staying up to 24 hours. The issue is you go back to the year I did that 24-hour live stream. What happened? I lost my voice. It was like right before the season. And then in week 2, I lost my voice. I'm still having to try to live stream every single night to answer questions, make videos every single day because it's week 2 of the season. That's like the most important time ever for me. And I legitimately don't have a voice. So it's unlikely that we do another 24-hour stream, to be honest with you. Okay, so let's move this over. So Purdy not really going to be in play for us, right? There'll be other teams where we do have... We're going to probably take Keon Coleman here at 104. There are going to be other teams that We drafted CMC. We drafted Ricky Pearsall. We drafted Brandon Ayuk. We drafted Jawan Jennings. Those are going to be the teams that I'd prefer to take a shot on Brock Purdy at the end of the ninth. Jay Money says, man can run 100 miles but can't stream for 24. Again, my legs were destroyed for a long time after running the 24 miles. My feet are still disgusting. It's been almost a month and my feet are like blisters still all over them. But I don't need my feet to live stream. My feet are kicked up on the desk right now. I'm relaxing. Okay, so let's move this down. Dak Prescott, we don't have any options for. Drake May, we don't have any options for. Jared Goff, we don't have any options for. We just take, say, projectable volume with Najee Harris. We need a running back. Balance out our exposures. Take Najee. Pair him up with maybe the high upside play that we have for the second half of the season with RJ Harvey. And at this point, despite us waiting until round 5 to take our first running back, I think we only draft 5 running backs on this team. Like, we waited on running back for quite some time, but we still have a very strong running back room. Like Kenneth Walker, RJ Harvey, DeAndre Swift, Najee Harris. Maybe you can make an argument that our upside's a little bit capped with this group of players, but we at least have a ton of projectable volume. Okay. Ross Kred says run and draft for 24 hours. I think I told y'all, but the plan for the 100-mile race was at one point I was going to draft a BBM team because y'all know Underdog does like Underdog Cardio Club. And I was going to record me as I was drafting the team. And I realized quickly that there was no way I was going to be able to do that. I realized quickly this is way harder than I thought it was going to be. And the last thing I want to do is pull out a camera and try to start recording. Let me see. What's actually interesting here is we could get away with drafting 6 RBs. The math behind 5 and 6 RB builds with this team's almost identical. So we'll stay flexible. But let's move this over to J.K. Dobbins off the board at 125. By Shell Tootin goes 126. So we're actually going to get David Njoku here. Let me just triple check to make sure this is our pick, right? Yeah, there's nobody else that we could consider. Yeah, David Njoku, best value on the board, best player on the board in general. Obviously, the hope is with a Lamar Jackson team, you're able to get Mark Andrews. But the thing is, Mark Andrews in this draft went at pick 98 with an ADP of 107. So we got sniped on Andrews a while ago. We were supposed to get Andrews at 104, and we just simply got somebody else decided to reach on him without Lamar. So we'll take David Njoku. We'll get some better tight end points. Then obviously we can still look at Isaiah Likely later on. We can still look at DeAndre Hopkins later on. And the main thing with Lamar Jackson is I'm fine having him unstacked. You just have so much rushing upside. Where Lamar realistically can give you a game where he runs the ball for 90 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. Like that is in the range of outcomes for Lamar, that you get 21 points just from his legs and you didn't really need a stack with Flowers, Andrews, Likely, Hopkins. But we still have some of those later options available to us. Okay, so Tucker Kraft, Dallas Goedert, both off. Ray Davis goes 134 to Vinny. Interesting. CJ Stroud goes. Lawrence off as well. Do we go Spears or Likely? Spears or reach for our stack? I think Spears is just the better pick. We take Spears, we're for sure only taking 5 running backs. Honestly, with rushing quarterback, I don't care as much about the stack. And there's a chance Likely comes back around. So we'll pass on him. I'm not the biggest Likely guy. I think Spears is just a better pick straight up. There's a 0% chance we get Spears on the way back around at 152. There's a small chance we get Isaiah Likely on the way back around. Again, like I said, rushing quarterback, I don't care as much about the stack as we would with a pocket passer like Joe Burrow, Baker Mayfield. So we will see. Demonic Seller says Tyler Warren's going to have some rushing yards, maybe in a rushing touchdown or two. I have heard people mention that. And then I've also heard them say at the same time, well, maybe if he would have gone to a different situation other than Indianapolis, where with Indianapolis, obviously you are having to deal with Anthony Richardson, where if this team decides to use Daniel Jones at quarterback, it also may not stop them if they get inside the 5-yard line and they wanted to do a gimmicky type play where like they would ask the tight end to run the ball. Why would they do that instead of just having Anthony Richardson do it? You know, Richardson would have more versatility doing it. Richardson's a massive human being himself. And if they're not using him as the starting quarterback, what the hell else is he going to do? So that's another reason why, like, I do think that Daniel Jones can be the starting quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts for a good portion of the year. And I'm still never drafting Daniel Jones because I wouldn't be surprised if Daniel Jones is the starter, but still at the same time, you get some random Anthony Richardson usage. Okay, so Jake Ferguson off the board, 146. Geno Smith goes. Let's move this back. Boom. Tyler Algier off. Leggett goes. Dalton Kincaid. And this team has George Kittle and Tyler Warren, so they're not taking a tight end. So we actually end up getting Isaiah Likely for our Lamar Jackson stack anyway. And then the question is, like, what are we going to do at quarterback with our QB2? We do have some options later. But this team goes Tillman. So we are going to end up with Likely for our Lamar stack, which, like I said, the reason we decided to... One of the many reasons we decided to go Spears over Likely in the last round. And while you'll see me typically skew always with the guy that has the higher ADP when I'm selecting towards the middle of the draft, if I'm picks 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, it's kind of like, oh, okay, well, most times I just want to be going with the player that's near the top of ADP because rather than reaching on Isaiah Likely there in the 12th, there's a chance I get him on the way back around in the 13th, right? Whereas if I'm picking over here at pick 12, pick 11, or pick 1 or pick 2, if you want to get your guy, you kind of have to reach on them or it's not going to be possible. So we take Spears. I prefer him over Likely anyway. And just based off the ADP, there's a shot we got Likely on the way back around. And we're still going to be able to draft 3 tight ends here. And we're only going to take 5 running backs at this point. Okay. Fims loves this team. Yeah. I like this team as well. Wide receiver, we have Puka Nacua, AJ Brown, Xavier Worthy, Matthew Golden, Keon Coleman. We have the elite quarterback with Lamar paired up with Likely. Running back, I'll get back to in a second. Do we go Romeo Doubs? I think Doubs could kind of be an easy pick. We are sitting with Matthew Golden. We'll go Doubs. Yeah, we have Matthew Golden, so we can play the what if game. What if they are just completely done with Jaden Reed, which is a possibility. Like they've decided not to use Reed for whatever reason. Like what if Matthew Golden and Romeo Doubs are just the 2 guys in wide receiver 2 sets? But anyway, yeah, so here, receiver, now we have Puka Nacua, A.J. Brown, Xavier Worthy, Matthew Golden, Keon Coleman, Romeo Doubs. Quarterback, we have Lamar Jackson, stacked with Likely. A running back, we have Kenneth Walker, R.J. Harvey, DeAndre Swift, Najee Harris, Tajee Spears. Tight end, we have David Njoku and Isaiah Likely. So I really like the squad. Rodgers goes 166. I believe that's to the Metcalf team. Yeah, it's the team that has Metcalf. Ross Cred says, should you have gone Bateman? I think Bateman's ADP is already juiced up because he just typically goes to the Lamar team. And he went ahead of ADP here where we could have taken Keon Coleman instead. No, I would rather have Keon over Bateman, even on a Lamar build. Like we can go through and pull up the comparison again between these guys. But Bateman's been in the NFL forever, right? Bateman was drafted in 2021. So it's fair to look at Bateman's 2023, 2022 seasons as well. So we can pull this up for Bateman, look at over the past 3 years and compare this to Keon Coleman. Like Keon Coleman as a rookie was a better wide receiver than Bateman's been on average over the past 3 seasons. And Keon Coleman was banged up as a rookie as well. Like, I prefer Keon, just straight up. Ross Cred says, but it was Najee over Bateman. No, Bateman went at 110. We got Najee at 113. Thank God we almost got boxed out of quarterback. We're going to go with an unstacked Sam Darnold. Again, with us having an elite quarterback like Lamar, I'm fine having our second quarterback unstacked. Is it the most ideal thing in the world? No, but Darnold's going to be the last guy that we can confidently project out to start all 17 weeks. And with Sam Darnold at the same time, we're mainly just taking him to make sure this team advances. And we can hopefully just use Lamar's scores weeks 15 through 17. Is that the most exciting thing in the world? No, the most exciting thing in the world would have been us getting Cam Ward at 176. He was the player I was considering at 161, but Cam Ward at 176 would have been really good for our wide receiver options later, where you could go with Alec Ayoman or you can go with Tyler Lockett. But if we're looking at Sam Darnold here instead, like, you are limited with the optionality that you have with his receivers. So now over the next 3 rounds, we're going to be going wide receiver and tight end. And again, we are going to get into another draft after this one, ladies and gentlemen. And we'll go Hopkins here to pair up with Lamar. Again, am I the biggest Hopkins guy in the world? No. Do I really think you need to be stacking Lamar when you have the rushing upside? Not particularly, but at the same time, I don't think Alec Pierce is like a screaming value by any stretch of the imagination. So we'll go Hopkins as our 7th receiver. And we're going to take 8 wide receivers on this team just because I think at quarterback, we're good with Lamar. Quarterback, we really don't have too many more options. And running back, we're in a good spot as well. Let me play around with this. We got our RB5 in round 12. Let me see what the math says. RB5 in round 12. Yeah, we definitely want to only be taking 5 running backs. So we want to skew towards probably 7 or 8 receivers. We definitely want to be taking 3 tight ends. And if we had like a third quarterback we get around 18 that you would tell me is going to start all at 17 weeks, I probably would take him. But there are no more guaranteed starters at this point. Let's move this down. Jarquez Hunter goes 198. Adonai Mitchell off. So we are just wide receiver tight end, right? Let's go Keenan. I think Keenan could be a steamer. And then here we'll go with Elijah Arroyo or Darren Waller for a round 18 tight end. Benefit that you get with Darren Waller is he hasn't been drafted in many Best Ball Mania drafts at all, so you have him at lower ownership. Benefit that we have with Elijah Arroyo is we do have 2 like older tight ends with Njoku and Likely that we can get production for at the beginning of the season. Maybe Elijah Arroyo gives us upside near the end of the year. And at the same time, we have Sam Darnold for the stack, and we have no other Seattle Seahawks. Al says, what do you think of taking late round QBs and drafting Jalen Milroe and Joe Milton? If one of them starts, they're league winners. Does Joe Milton have rushing upside? I know nothing about Joe Milton. I know people say that he's a cannon of an arm. I would say that in general, like, if you're, instead of taking Jalen Milroe, if you want to take a shot at a quarterback that possibly could be a league winner if he starts, it would be Anthony Richardson. And I like the idea of taking like a player like Elijah Arroyo here in round 18 that's not drafted in every single draft, right? So if he does hit, you could have a really high ceiling. But if you're looking at what you have with those quarterbacks, realistically, Jalen Milroe's the starter. How much better is the Milroe projection going to be then? And by the way, we're in the new Best Ball Mania lobby. There are 3 spots open. I just had to join on my phone because for whatever reason, Safari's not giving my location Underdog. But like Jalen Milroe's the starting quarterback for Seattle in this hypothetical scenario, right? How does he rank in comparison to other quarterbacks in my weekly rankings that week? Like, let's say Jalen Milroe comes in and he starts for Sam Darnold in week 12. Ton of rushing upside, right? So you do have a high ceiling. And I would probably pick him up in my redraft league. We're going to be at pick 1 in this draft. But where do I rank him in my weekly rankings that week? QB 14? QB 15? So I like the idea of, if you have a player that you really like that nobody's taking, reaching on them in round 18, getting a unique pick, some unique exposure. I don't think the position to do it at is quarterback, though. Because even if you like hit, quote unquote, hit on a Joe Milton or a Jalen Milroe in round 18, they're still getting stomped on by the elite quarterbacks, right? So I would have no interest. K-Rob says, I mean, sure, initial ranking 14 to 15, but he has top 10. But my thing is, a top 10 quarterback is not worth that much. Like, let's go back 2 years ago when I won 0 tournaments. Why did I win 0 tournaments 2 years ago? And I didn't even make the finals in Best Ball Mania 2 years ago. The main reason being is I drafted 0 Puka Nacua and 0 Kyron Williams. And a round 18 player turning out to be a top 10 running back or a top 10 wide receiver is massive from an expected value perspective. But a round 18 QB, and also the running back and receiver can do it immediately. Jalen Milroe is not starting for Sam Darnold immediately, right? Like, your hope would be he comes in 2 months into the season. But like, you drafting a top 10 quarterback in round 18 isn't the same league winner as you drafting Kyron Williams 2 years ago, as you drafting Puka Nacua 2 years ago. So I would never mix in Jalen Milroe. I would never, if you really like taking shots on quarterbacks like that you think you could hit on a massive ceiling for, and where you hitting on a late round quarterback, him turning into a top 10 option would make a difference and possibly win you a tournament, you should be drafting in the Superflex tournaments. That's where you can have interesting takes. That's where you can call your shots on those players. Okay. Tyreek goes at 18. Tyreek moving up. Bowers goes at 20. Bowers has been moving down. A little bit of an interesting board here. Bucky off at 21. Rice goes 22. Let's see what Kevin does. Kevin went running back in round 1 with Barkley. We are going to take Taylor, and then we are going to try something weird. We're going to go Jonathan Taylor, and we're going to reach on Josh Allen. Going back to what we've been talking about in the past about when you're on the turns here, if you wanted to have a unique build where throughout all underdog tournaments, Josh Allen's been going in the middle to late 3rd, early 4th round, the amount of Josh Allen, Jamar Chase teams, there will be none. The Josh Allen, Jamar Chase overlap does not exist. So in the hypothetical scenario, we get 100 points in weeks 15 through 17 from Josh Allen, and we get 100 points from Jamar Chase in weeks 15 through 17, and those are the 2 guys you need, and there aren't many people in the tournament with them, it can be a very interesting leverage point where we could be crushing the rest of the field. So we're going to reach on Josh Allen. I'm going to get a little bit unique here, and we'll see what happens. Okay. G says, I've seen a couple people take Josh Allen a 1-2 turn. I think I've seen it happen twice, and I've done like 200 drafts. So, of course, whenever I say there are no teams that do this, I'm exaggerating. There are some teams who do it, but the amount of teams will be very, very slim. Okay. So we have Josh Allen, 25. Jonathan Taylor, 24. K. Rob says, if JT went where McBride did, would you have gone double onesies? No, because also if I would have gotten McBride at 24, I think I could have pulled off a Kyler Murray pick at 96. And I really like the McBride-Kyler pairing. So I probably would not have gone with McBride, Josh Allen, just because I would have wanted to set ourselves up with Kyler later. But the thing with Jamar Chase is unless I'm taking T. Higgins here, my options are Joe Burrow at pick 48 or Josh Allen at pick 25. But like, I'm not going to get the Chase Burrow combo at pick 72. That's not happening in this draft. So I think we're fine to go Josh Allen. Two shots says 1-2 turn is dumb. Can you just get him almost always at the 3-4 turn? Or do you mean 2-3 turn? Yeah, 2-3 turn. Like taking Josh Allen here, pick 11 or 12 would be horrendous. Or pick 13 or 14, because in a lot of these drafts, Josh Allen goes at the 3-4 turn. So you're just going to be going up against the same combo of players, same combo of teams. However, you're just not going to have Devon Achane, and instead you'll have James Cook. So you'd never like reach 24 picks and take a player that's going to go in the same range of the draft anyway. The scenario in which it makes sense is you're doing it on the opposite side of the board with a player that has a tight ADP. And ooh, we could get interesting here. We are going to. I'm going to try something that is scary, but hell, I think James Cook and Amari and Hampton are the best picks on the board. And let's run with it. We're going to go James Cook, Amari and Hampton, and we need to slam wide receivers over the next 4 rounds. So let me look at the math behind this. But I will tell you right now that this is not a typical underdog start. This is not a historically good underdog start. But what does it look like when we take our wide receiver 1 in round 1, wide receiver 2 in round 6? So with a team like this, you have lower semifinals rates. You have higher advancement rates to get to the playoffs, but just when you're in the playoffs, it's going to be very difficult to have the wide receiver upside. But we'll try to make it work. Team at 7 gets Devonta Smith, Jalen Hurts. The team at 7, I absolutely love. I personally prefer Ladd McConkey over Tyreek Hill, but that Smith Hurts pairing in round 4 and 5 is really exciting. Okay. The Beantown says, pick 7, we'll take Hurts after you flame me for passing last night. Oh, did you pass on Jalen Hurts in round 5 with Devonta Smith last night? Well, I mean, today, I absolutely love it, my friend. I think you have a great team. Yeah, Team 7 almost got the full Eagles onslaught. If you would have had like A.J. Brown falling to you, got like A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Jalen Hurts, that's the absolute dream. I tried to do that in a $500 draft the other day, and we got sniped on Hurts. Okay. Yeah, obviously Chase has to carry this team. Like, this team is toast if Chase doesn't play 17 games. It won't even sniff the playoffs. Okay, let's move this over. Jawan Jennings goes 64. Really fell down to 63 in this draft. I actually like seeing RJ Harvey and Trevion Henderson go at pick 60 and 61, because if we have a running back that falls to us at 72, even though we only have one wide receiver through the first 5 rounds, and I know we probably shouldn't go with the running back, y'all know my lizard brain. Y'all know that I am at risk to do anything and to blow up my team accidentally. Or if we get a running back we really like, we may make a big mistake. So let's see what Pally does. Okay, goes DeAndre Swift. Let's see what Kevin does. I have my plan A, plan B, plan C. Goes Montgomery, Jacoby Myers, and Shakir's plan A. We are building out a full-blown Bills onslaught. We have Allen, we have Cook, we have Shakir. And I don't think Shakir's that much worse of an option than the other wide receivers in round 7. These guys like Ricky Pearsall. Myers, at least historically, has given us a nice little floor here. So, obviously, plan A there was wide receiver, and we would have had to have something crazy happen like Trevion Henderson falling to us at 72 for us to even think about deviating from that plan. I'm very happy to see Burrow go at 69 because if Burrow would have made it to me at 72, I would have felt like the dumbest person on this planet. But I love our squad here. Chase, Myers, Shakir at receiver, Taylor, James Cook, Amari Hampton at running back, the elite quarterback with Josh Allen. Don't get it twisted. We're still probably behind the 8 ball at wide receiver. We're still asking Jamar Chase to do a lot of the heavy lifting here. But we'll see. Caleb says, figured you were going to go with Sticky Ricky and Shakir. No, I don't think Sticky Ricky is that much better than Shakir. And y'all know, I mean, I was a Shakir hater last year saying that, I mean, Shakir only went like a round after this. Shakir was a round 8 pick and he had never done anything. Like if we realistically look at Shakir last year with where he was getting drafted, not that much later than this. His 2023 season, he was coming off a year in which he averaged 6.7 points per game, had an 8.9% team target share and 1.77 yards per route run. Like I thought drafting this wide receiver here in round 8 was crazy, but you look at 2024 that bumps up to a 23% team target share, 2.32 yards per route run, and he's the wide receiver 37. Of course, he doesn't score touchdowns. Overall, the Buffalo Bills lead the NFL in rushing touchdowns by a wide margin. If we get Josh Allen throwing more passing touchdowns this year, I think Shakir could be very exciting. Keon Coleman goes at 86. So Keon was going to be somebody that I was interested in taking at 96 to really push all in on the Bills. But we'll see. Let's move this over. Boom, boom, boom. Looking at quarterbacks that would be in play for us here at the turn. Kyler, Justin Fields give us rushing upside that we don't particularly need to have them stacked. But with other QB potential pairings, like I guess we could go Bo Nix and reach on Evan Ingram. Purdy's probably not in play for us. We didn't take anybody of relevance in San Fran. You don't have any later options. Okay, we're going to keep this stupid simple. We're going to go Pittman and Kupp. We're for sure going Pittman. Let me think of Kupp versus Jaden Higgins. I think we go Kupp. The thing with Jaden Higgins is I like taking him here at the beginning of the ninth if I need to set ourselves up with another quarterback later on. But we have Geno as an option, and now we get Darnold as an option, and we're obviously built around the elite QB with Allen. So I'm not as concerned setting ourselves up with a potential CJ Stroud later. So we're just going to double tap wide receiver. Like I said, we're still playing catch up here at the position. Now, wide receiver, we have Chase, Jacoby, Shakir, Pittman, Kupp. Pittman, my wide receiver 4. Kupp, my wide receiver 5. Wide receiver 2 and 3, yeah, we're probably a little bit weak, but honestly, I think it's serviceable. Obviously, holding down the fort with Chase at the top. Jamar Chase doesn't repeat what he did last year. We're toast. Running back, we have Jonathan Taylor, James Cook, Amari Hampton. Quarterback, we have Josh Allen. I think this team has it as a possibility to turn $25 into $2 million. Yeah. This was a stream of 3 solid drafts. I think we cracked the code. 2 shots is just make sure you draft running backs with early season production when taking Hampton. I would say that for the majority of instances, but we have Jonathan Taylor and James Cook. Like, I'm not thinking like, oh, we took Hampton, we need to get Ramondre Stevenson on this team. I think we're good. Yeah, the thing that we needed to get rid of on Underdog was those goddamn poodle drafts. Which is funny because obviously the poodle's essentially just a smaller BBM. But for whatever reason, it was legitimate hell drafting a poodle team. It was horrible from start to finish. Okay. Drake May goes 112. Bo Nix. The Bo Nix team ends up getting sniped on Evan Ingram. All right, let's figure out where we are going. Najee off at 113. I know who we want. I don't know if we get him. There are a couple different options that we could go with. Dobbins 116. Javonte 117. Javonte was not on my radar here. I have plan A, plan B, plan C. I have 3 guys I want. As long as 2 of them don't go in the next 2 picks, we're good. Okay, we're good. Luther Burden goes, so we are going to take, let me just think about this for 1 second, but I think we're going to take Tyler Warren and David Njoku. Goff, we don't have any Lions. He has no rushing upside. Herbert, we have Hampton, but I don't think it's a priority when we are sitting with Josh Allen. Yeah, we're going to take the tight ends. I think the tight ends are by far and away the best values on the board. I think Tyler Warren and David Njoku score significantly more points than guys like Kyle Williams and Marvin Mims. And this does give us the ability to only take 2 tight ends as well. So now wide receiver, we have Chase, Jacoby, Shakir, Pittman, Kupp. Running back, we have Taylor, James Cook, Amari, and Hampton. We have the elite quarterback with Allen. And then tight end, we have Tyler Warren, David Njoku. I love this team. Like, this is one of the best teams that we have drafted in quite some time. Okay. Let's move this over. Looking at historically, you draft tight ends in rounds 10 and 11, you want to be taking a third. Advances higher to the playoffs, higher to the semifinals, higher to the finals. So I don't think we need to take a third tight end, but we're still probably looking at a third tight end. Okay. K-Rob says, do you avoid 2 running backs from the same team? No, I think it can lead to interesting outcomes in tournaments if you have 2 running backs from the same team. The year before we won the big dog, I only drafted like 2 big dog teams in 2021, and I almost won it. Like, it's so far removed that it's lame for me to keep talking about it. And obviously, butterfly effect. If I won the big dog in 2021, my life would have changed so much that I would not have won it in 2022. So I wouldn't have been the back-to-back winner. But the 2021 year, I had a Jamar Chase team that could have got to the finals and win it. But if Kelsey got put on the COVID list and I took a 0 at tight end because I had like TJ Hawkinson out for the year. I had Irv Smith Jr. out for the year and Travis Kelsey at tight end. Had to take a 0 at tight end and got bounced in round 16. If Kelsey would have given me like 4 points, if he would have just played, we'd have advanced, we'd have won the tournament. And that was a team that had like 2 running backs from Tampa. It had Leonard Fournette and another player and 2 running backs from Buffalo. But 4 of my 5 running backs on that squad were, oh dear God, we should have gone Jaden Higgins. Let's think here. Loveland's the best pick. I don't think if we can go with the 3rd tight end, but we can't go with the 3rd tight end here. We'll take Cedric Tillman. We're already on this Browns offense with Njoku. Stroud doesn't do anything. Tua doesn't do anything. God, Loveland is so much better than these other players. I hate to do it, and it's probably not good. This is where we lost the draft. This is where we botched it. Going tight end, pick 145 when we just took tight ends at pick 120 and 121 is where we lost it. But realistically, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to take the tight end that just went inside the top 10 picks of the NFL draft? Am I supposed to take the running back that we hope is the backup in San Francisco? That was a bad prospect. I mean, not a bad prospect. I know he had a good athletic profile, but a day 3 pick that has had one good game in his NFL career. Or am I supposed to go with Jaden Blue, the bad running back prospect that was just drafted on day 3 of the NFL draft? Or do I just say Loveland's by far and away the best player? Just give me Loveland. He outscores these wide receivers in the flex spot for me. Sports Fanatics says, why not Palmer? I think Loveland outscores Palmer. So, yeah, obviously now at this point, we're completely done taking tight ends. I would not really advocate for other people to go tight ends in round 10, 11, and 13. It's probably overkill with the tight end position, to be honest with you. What would have been a better move for our team is instead of going with Cooper Kupp at pick 97, if we would have gone with Jaden Higgins and set ourselves up with CJ Stroud, which we thought wasn't a priority because we had Josh Allen, but in reality, Stroud would have just been a damn good pick there at 145. If we would have gone Jaden Higgins at 97 instead, then CJ Stroud at 145, that would have been ideal. But because we put ourselves in a little bit of an awkward spot with a suboptimal Cooper Kupp pick earlier on, we're just going to take Loveland. CH says, anyone else freaking out about DFS being banned in California tomorrow? I don't think it's a guarantee. I know they have rumors that the Attorney General is going to make a statement against it, but we will see what happens tomorrow. I'm really hoping that it's not, obviously. Okay. Texas, how about the new taxes on gambling? So for my understanding, that also sucks for sports betting companies and people who like to sports bet at high volume. My understanding of how I read the taxes, it really negatively impacts the millionaires or the 100 millionaires that are betting like $1 million in a season. The people that are doing it recreationally, I don't know if it has that large of an impact on, to be honest, but I could be wrong. Of course, I'm not a tax expert. We're going to take Cam Ward. I know we could go with Darnold to pair up with Kupp, but I think we have a couple Tennessee Titans receivers we can take later on. And then my favorite, we actually probably go with the running back here. We'll just take Dowdle. As again, I think we need to kind of save some of our wide receiver spots to Tennessee Titans. But yeah, don't get it twisted. And obviously, I know nothing about politics. I'm never going to make a political statement on this live stream. What you come to the stream to do is look at my beautiful face, and your girlfriend probably begged you to put it on the TV, or realistically. You didn't come here for me to give political takes. But so I have no idea what the thing is in Trump's bill, but I know some people are saying that there's the gambling tax change where it's like you can only deduct 90%, blah, blah, blah. And then I saw people doing examples of the math behind it. And it seemed like for the super rich people that are like the professional poker players, they are screwed. But for people that are going to bet $100 in a year, it doesn't matter. At least that's my thought on it. If you're going to bet $1 million in a year, you're toast. You're like, it's going to be very difficult to win based off my limited understanding. And I could be completely wrong. Maybe it doesn't even get passed. I don't know. That's what I'm reading. This is what I read and watched on YouTube. But Chris says, my girlfriend just said, who is this dork? Okay. Chris, are we really going to pretend like your girlfriend doesn't know exactly who I am? I'll say her name right now. I'm not going to dox her like that. Okay. I'm not going to dox her. I'm not going to embarrass you. But Let's be real here. You're trying to front. Okay. But yes, we'll see what happens with the California thing tomorrow as well. Hopefully nothing comes from it, but again, I have no idea. Actually, I don't think it's tomorrow. I think it's the 5th for the California thing. Okay, Chig goes 184. And let's hope that we see more tight ends off the board, right? Because that's what we kind of need here. And we are just going to take one more running back, and we're going to take 2 more receivers. And yeah, this is a damn good team. Darius Slayton goes 187. Calvin Austin 188. Oh, Lockett went. That sucks for us. We still have other Cam Ward options later. There are a couple different running backs I'm fine with here. Kind of like Dimey Brown with the negative news that we have about Travis Hunter. And also, I haven't drafted much of him. We got to bump it up. Not a big Shipley guy. Justice Hill was the guy I was actually going to prefer. I don't want to take Will Shipley. He's in just so much of a better offense than the other running backs. Sure, we'll take him. But yeah, this is a damn good team. Desire Best says, I hate my state, taking away my guilty pleasure. Hopefully they don't. But yeah, I mean, realistically, if they did, I wouldn't go back to I went and stayed in California for a couple months at the beginning of the year for the lady to work on. I'm sure y'all already know, I said it 1,000 times. But the lady worked on Happy Gilmore over the past year. So we went and stayed in Hollywood for a little bit for it. And it was my first time ever in California. And it was the most beautiful state I'd ever been to. I was like, oh my gosh, the geography here. You have mountains leading up to the ocean. This is insane. I've never seen anything like this. The weather's perfect, which I had heard before. But I was like, this is amazing. I could get used to coming here. But if they go through and start banning stuff like that, but that I just realistically wouldn't be able to, Two Shot says, what's the Hunter news? I missed it. Just more and more reports are coming out of this coaching staff saying that he's going to be used on the defensive side of the ball some. So it looks like if you were projecting things out, maybe you are getting Dimey Brown and 2 wide receiver sets at the beginning of the year. Let's see. Diego says, she an actor or just behind the scenes? Yeah, she's a small actor. You've maybe heard of her before. She had a role in The White Lotus season 1. If you had a chance to sing that, great role. She was one of the main leads on Euphoria. I don't know if y'all have seen that show. She actually had a pretty big movie that came out with Glenn Powell over the past year called Anyone But You. But smaller actress, you probably don't know her. Now, Tyler Higbee off the board, 208s. Now, Alec Aeminer. So this team just goes out with the sole intention of sniping us on our Cam Ward stacks. We have Josh Allen, so I'm not going to cry about it, right? We can just use Cam Ward's points to advance. But that is going to take away whatever wide receiver options we have with the Tennessee Titans. I know some people may say, Mason, you can go with Restrepo. Never draft Restrepo. But also I said the same thing about Puka his rookie season, so don't listen to me for a single second. Probably go Jalen Tolbert. And I think we have enough points at receiver. Chase, Myers, Shakir, Pittman, Kupp, Tillman, Dimey Brown, Tolbert. I think we're good. I think it's one of the best teams we've drafted in a long, long time. But I'm not taking Restrepo. I won't do it. Now, I am so excited. Today's been a damn good day. Not going to lie to y'all, the streams last week, y'all know I had to take a day off. Those drafts in the Poodle were brutal. I hated them. And if I have a stream where I just have 3 bad drafts straight, it messes with me. It sucks. Especially if they start stringing together. That's when it's extra bad. But God, 3 good drafts today. I get to go eat sushi tonight. It rained in Austin today. We needed some rain. I got my bike back. Ooh, one thing that I did is the lady started Pilates and wanted me to go with her for the first couple times. So we got like near the house, there's like this Pilates place that's like, Pilates is super expensive. Y'all didn't know. I didn't know this before I looked it up because it's like they have the instructor and blah, blah, blah. But they had a good deal for how expensive it usually is. It was like $90 for 2 weeks of unlimited classes. So we've done Pilates every day together over the past 3 days. Got good dinner last night, getting sushi tonight. Beautiful in Austin right now. Our neighborhood's just gorgeous with the rain. So life is damn good. We get into draft every single day. Appreciate y'all hanging out with me, of course. Y'all coming out to talk with me makes these streams 10,000 times more enjoyable, of course. I know I've said that 1,000 times, but yeah, thank you so much for everything. Ooh, and one last thing is I got a new book that came in as well. If y'all have not already, somebody at Underdog actually recommended this to me. Let me pull this up for y'all. And of course, okay, we're done drafting fantasy football teams. If you want to just watch fantasy football drafts, you can either rewind to the beginning of this or leave this live stream. I'm sorry, but this is Mason rambling about random things. So somebody at Underdog last year recommended this book for me. And it was the best book I've ever read. And I was reading The Count of Monte Cristo, which took me freaking forever. It was 1,200 pages. It was hell. But I got done with it 2 nights ago. If y'all have ever read Brandon Sanderson, Mistborn, like there's this little trilogy, this is insanely good. It's like fantasy world. I don't know. It's not sci-fi, but it's like fantasy, right? World building type stuff. But this isn't like it's like his second most popular a book series. Supposedly the most popular one's called The Stormlight Archive. I ordered this yesterday off Amazon and it just got in today. So in the live stream early, gonna get to go eat sushi with the double date. We're actually eating sushi double date with the videographer who's going to film everything for the Flock League when we're in Austin, which is cool. So I get to talk about Flock League stuff with him because I haven't seen him since we went to California for a couple months. God, we get home, walk the dog, watch a little Netflix. Think we have one last Black Mirror episode and then get to start my new book. So good day. Appreciate y'all hanging out with me, of course. And hope you get to see you out in the live stream tomorrow night.